with our finance minister.
So we almost touched 8% in Q4. Do you see this momentum continuing in the coming?
I do see this momentum continuing. And I see this continuing because this 7.6% growth rate that India has had is in a year of global slowdown. And if you look at the analysis of this data, we've improved marginally in agriculture, even though there was inadequate rainfall. We maintained a high growth rate in services, though it's dipped a little because I think the service exports must have suffered because the global players are buying less.
Right.
And there's an improvement in manufacturing.
Right.
What is significant is that there is a consumer demand and there's an increased consumer spending. Now, in the last 2 years, a number of factors were loaded against us. There was a global slowdown, there was a inadequate monsoon, there was lack of demand, and yet we were able to grow at this rate, which is the fastest in the world. In fact, people across the world are a little surprised at how India could have maintained this growth rate. Now, as we look to the year ahead, I think the reform process is going to continue.
Right.
Hopefully, if the GST is passed, it has a potential to add to India's growth rate. Our increased infrastructure spending, our rural spending will enlarge economic activity. And what is most important is that in case we are able to have a good monsoon, which all indications are likely, a good monsoon this year will actually mean an increase in agricultural production. It will also mean increased purchasing power and more rural demand.
Right.
So if a combination of urban and rural demand both increase, I think India's ability to improve on the 7.6%, I feel optimistic on that.
So exports, that seems to be dragging GDP a bit.
Well, I think exports are dependent on two factors. One is the ability of global economies to pick up products and services. So if the world is moving slowly, the world will buy less. Secondly, even if it buys the same amount, the values are less because commodity prices are low, oil prices are low. And don't forget that 18% of India's export is still refined oil. Now, if this situation changes, it can increase. Plus, if India were to bring in a cutting edge by improving its cost competitiveness in exports, I think India could do better.
So my last question, sir. Oil and commodity prices seem to have bottomed out globally. Going forward, if the prices keep on increasing, what are the options that we can have?
I don't think it's possible for me to put a final word on that because nobody really has been able in the past to predict the actual growth path of oil and commodities. And therefore, let's see how they move in the course of the year.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay.